Well, our moms think we're funny. Hey everyone, I'm Acomi.
Hey everybody.
And welcome to Our Moms Think We're Funny.
No,
Let's go.
Am I still part of
What?
this?
Yeah, aren't you? What's wrong?
Nothing, man. Just letting you do your thing, man.
I did my
then,
thing.
Then you run your show, man. It's your show.
I mean, you're part of it too.
I'm just a squirrel trying to get a nut.
Got a special guest with us today. Hi, Wallcrawler.
I'm Wallcrawler One. I was waiting for him because it's his show. I was waiting for him to chime in.
Apparently he's in a mood, so I guess it's just going to be the Acomi and Wallcrawler show.
I thought you were doing that thing where every time I was talking, you were going to cut me off, like as a joke. That's why I was like, okay.
What kind of person do you think I am?
Oh, I know exactly what kind of person you are. We've done 3 seasons of like what kind of person you are.
I have standards on this podcast. I'm going to let you give your introduction.
Are you sure now?
Yeah.
You let me say it? You want to let me see who I am?
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So, my name is Turk182. Okay.
There, you see, I bet you feel like a real jackass now.
No. I felt like a jackass yesterday.
Throwing out all these based accusations against me.
They're not based. They're totally founded.
Sure, yeah.
Because you've never hurt me before. No, not you. Not at all.
I have been nothing but the picture of a professional for 3 seasons.
Yeah. You have the scream of the picture of a professional. Me fail English? That's impossible. Yeah, so what are we doing right now, man?
Hey, we're talking about Watchmen. We're doing this awesome, epic crossover of Our Moms Think We're Funny and In the Gutters. And on both of these shows, we're talking about everybody's favorite graphic novel, or one of them, Watchmen.
Oh, I was about to say Dark Knight? Oh.
Bone.
So, yeah, we're talking about Watchmen. And so we did an episode where we talked about a comedian.
Yeah.
And
that guy.
Now we're going to talk about
Corey Feldman.
Corey Feldman.
We're watching License to Drive, and this is
That's-
kind of rapey
Yeah,
back here. It's like,
it really is. Again, this is the 80s, man. You get away with that shit.
Yeah, it's like that the SNL sketch where they were talking about the politician who had his picture taken in blackface at a Halloween party. And they were like, no, it's fine. It was in the 80s when it was funny and cool. He was like, no, it wasn't okay even in the 80s, no. Okay, who else has had their picture taken in blackface and nobody raises their hands? He's like, in the 80s, and they all raise their hands. He's like, oh my god, people! Yeah, no, I think we're talking about Silk Spectre, right?
Silk Spectre. That's
Yes.
two.
Two?
Yeah, Silk Spectre 2.
Yeah.
Silk Spectre 2.
The sequel.
Or as Rorschach called her once, Miss Jupiter.
Yeah, she did not like that.
No. Which, maybe it's worth talking about that. Oh, by the way, everybody, this is going to be extremely spoiler heavy. I want to preface each of our chapters on that this is extremely spoiler heavy, so if you have not read Watchmen or watched the movie or whatever, just stop what you're doing and do it, because why are you listening to a podcast like a big dummy when you haven't read Watchmen yet? So, your mother and I are very disappointed in you.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, even on the cover of the trades that we're both looking at here, this is winner of the Hugo Award. I mean, you don't see a lot of comic books or graphic novels that win Hugo Awards. You know, that's just not something you normally see.
Did it win an Eisner? I don't even know the awards that it did. It win an Eisner?
I don't know if it won. I wouldn't be surprised if it won Eisner.
It's probably won an Eisner since it got printed.
And the Eagle Award, that's the only other one I know.
The Ego Award?
Eagle.
Oh, I was going to say Alan Moore won that all by himself.
Yeah, there's a lot of ones that are like specific to like writing or art specifically. Like there's the Inkwell Award, there's the Kurtzman Award,
Ignatz.
The Ignatz. Yeah, the Ignatz is like specifically for indie books, I think.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, there's tons out there.
But,
Were they there like in '86?
I really don't know.
Yeah, that's when
some
they
of them.
started. Yeah, some of them were, I guess.
Well, yeah, I know a few of them were, but yeah, the Eisners have always been the big ones because they're like the Oscars of comics.
Yeah.
And this book is it even makes it on like top 10 like book lists or top 10 entertainment lists from places like Entertainment Weekly and like Newsweek back when they existed and all that kind of stuff. It was like the Watchmen is normally in the top 10 or top 20.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd say it's one of the greatest graphic novels of all time. I think if the three of us were to compose a top 10 list of our major graphic novels, then I think we would all have it up there in the top 10.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
So,
I tell you, when I read it, because you've seen my original, my hardback.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Who did it? Who was it? I got to. No, I think it's somebody. I was telling somebody about it, and I told them I said I have a hardback, and they're like, "Yeah, but hardback." I didn't know they made Watchmen in hardback. I was like, They made it in hardback when I got it, which is the Science Fiction Book Club, and that's when I saw it, and I was like, "Oh, I like comic books. There's a comic book." And I got it, and I was not prepared for what it was at all.
Where is it?
My original?
Yeah.
Right over here on the bookshelf. I've read it so many times.
Right.
Like the cover's coming off. Well, I mean, technically the cover is off. It's coming off. It's off.
Yeah. I didn't know that it was that there were hardback versions until you showed me yours. Like, it's crazy. But yeah, I wanted to see the movie. And Sam Logan, the creator of the Sam and Fuzzy webcomic, posted on his website that he was like, "Oh, the Watchmen movie's great, but I would recommend everybody to read the book before you do the movie." So I bought myself a used copy on Amazon and just was completely blown away. It was so above and beyond anything I was expecting. But yeah, it might be more worth talking about this on Rorschach's episode rather than Laurie's episode here, but since we just referred to her as Miss Jupiter and talked about how she didn't like that, I thought it was interesting, and I've never noticed it before. That is the only time Rorschach actually refers to her as Miss Jupiter. After she chews him out, he only ever refers to her as Miss Juspeczyk from there. And I never caught on to that. I thought that, and just maybe because I don't pay as much attention while I'm reading as I should, I thought that it was always just his thing to call her Miss Jupiter because Rorschach's a freaking weirdo. But yeah, going through it for this most recent read, it's like, yeah, after she is like, "Don't ever call me that," and he only ever calls her Miss Juspeczyk.
What's interesting is he doesn't call her Miss Osterman.
Nope.
Because that technically should be her name.
Yeah. Are they actually fully married?
I thought they were.
I guess so, yeah.
But I guess, well, from his point of view, John Osterman doesn't exist anymore. So she can't be Miss Manhattan.
Yeah.
So she would only have to go back to being Miss Juspeczyk. How do you pronounce it again?
Juspeczyk. Oh, that's how the motion comic pronounces it, which it sounds plausible.
Yeah, it's spelled with a J, pronounced with a Y.
Like the first time I came across it, I was just like, Juspeczyk. So, what do I know about it?
I always call her Blake. Like,
yeah, she does too in the TV show, from what I understand. So basically, for those who, like, if this is the first one you're listening to, you didn't listen to our episode on the comedian on In the Gutters, which I recommend checking that out. We had a lot of fun with that one. Basically, we're just, like, reviewing the characters, talking about who the characters are and what makes them tick, what makes them the way they are, why are they broken in the way that they are, so it's fun.
Yeah, it's
a good time. You notice that as soon as I'm not the guest and it's on me to, like, co-host the podcast, and I'm just completely off the fucking rails.
I think that it's interesting when you're looking at just because you mentioned Rorschach there and how he talks about stuff, and I will say more for that in the Rorschach episode, but he starts off by calling her Miss Jupiter, but he's very respectful to women.
Yeah.
Which you wouldn't really expect coming from him, but he is. And the fact that he doesn't call her by her former hero name, he doesn't call her by her first name. he calls her Miss Jupiter, and like I said, once she corrects him, and then she's being kind of a jerk there, but it's at him, but partly because he broke into their facility. But again, he is Rorschach. I mean, Rorschach is kind of like the Melanie of the Watchmen world. It's like, you know, I mean, I may not trust Rorschach or like Rorschach, but I can always, you know, trust Rorschach to be Rorschach.
Yep.
I don't dislike the character at all, but it's like, I gotta admit, like, she wasn't as compelling as some of the other ones to me. So like that's why I don't have a lot to add. It's like, not that I dismiss her completely. Like, she was important to Dr. Manhattan, and like she was important to you know, she helped out Nite Owl, you know, that whole situation. So she's definitely tough. I think she worked better, and to be honest, in the comic, I didn't think she was as important until I saw the movie. Mm-hmm. And I got problems with the movie, but I still think it's a lot better than I originally thought. But I saw her stronger there. I don't know for why. Like, why? I guess because it was so violent, you know? Like
the fight scenes in the movie are so well done.
So when I saw it in the comic, it didn't read through as much as it did when I saw her there. You know?
And I heard a critic say that Laurie is primarily defined in the story for her sexuality, and I disagree with that, honestly.
I would agree with you. Like, I don't.
No, I mean, I agree with you. I could see both sides, because I think she could be. I think she was sexualized more. There's another case. I think she was sexualized in the movie more than she was here. I mean, it was the same thing, but you know that scene with her and Nite Owl.
Well, I was about to say, because in that scene she has rockin' tits,
and it happens here too. But it was more because it was more drawn out. It was just more gratuitous, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, I could see that as a gratuitous sex scene, but
But I think that she is very sexualized in the book, and I think that's one of the things why she's not a prude, but she's very, she tries to distance herself from everything her mother embraced, including when her mother's like, you're going to be a hero, and oh, by the way, you've got to dress like this. She's like, I don't want to do that.
She hated the costume. Like, she's always critical of the costume, says it's ridiculous.
I'm curious about, this. Well, no, because I guess he still had some humanity left when she first met Manhattan.
Yeah. Well, and you're talking about like childhood stuff. Since Blake was her dad, I mean, I think she had father figures, but she didn't maybe necessarily have a dad. Yeah. So maybe some of those issues are coming through with Manhattan, emotionally unavailable. She's attracted to that, and then like she's got to go through him before she can find Nite Owl. The guy that really does care for her, and she's got to get ready to believe that she's worthy of that, because I mean, but that's not so much directly from the book as just real life, because that's what they're damaged. They don't think they deserve it. You go for the emotionally unavailable person, and then bam, then you find the guy that really does care for you. It happens all the time.
I think she talks about that on Mars with John. I'm pretty sure she says that she had issues with her stepdad, that he was this abusive bully, and that's why she always gravitated towards like overbearing, controlling men, and that's why she hooks up with Nite Owl ultimately, because he's not that.
Mm-hmm. But she wouldn't have done it at first. She's got to go through the other guy before she can get to the. She's got to get to this point with him.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if I can find that.
I've said for the Nite Owl episode, but I like Sally a lot. Laurie. I like Laurie a lot. I like her so much, and I love her disconnect from everybody. So my thing is, when we first started talking about doing this, was that there are so many. Like, everybody's broken. Everybody in the Watchmen is broken, like all the heroes are, and in some way or another. And I think they're all missing these. They're all missing some kind of father figure or mentor that they don't have, and they seek them out. And she's a clear case of that. She got the abusive stepfather, that she she doesn't like and can't connect with. She ends up, meeting Manhattan, and then she still doesn't, and he's emotionally like unavailable. So she doesn't have that. because even when he still has a little bit of humanity left, he still is that guy that sees past, present, and future all at one moment.
Yeah.
So he can't stop being who he is. And as he slowly starts to slip further and further away, it's not... Anybody else would probably see that and run, but she doesn't. She stays there throughout the whole thing because she doesn't know what it should be.
Right.
And she's even, in a sense, kind of attracted to the comedian because of the bad boy thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, because
because she doesn't know.
At the Crime Busters meeting, she says, "Hey, I thought your act in there was pretty cool."
Right.
So
he knows though, right?
Right.
He knows, so that's why.
Because that's when her mom pulled up.
Yeah.
he's like, "Can I say hi to an old friend's daughter?"
Yeah. So she's desperately looking for like some kind of approval or someone to guide her because she doesn't. The only person she has is her mom. Who, when she looks back at her mom and she's like, "I don't like everything about you. I dislike."
Mm-hmm.
It's even when her mom's like, she's like, "Oh, someone sent me another one of those old Tijuana Bibles."
Yeah, I love that.
And she's like, "Oh, this is disgusting." She's like, it's not that bad." And I do think it's interesting. Her mom makes that line about like as I look back, everything looks clearer and clearer.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and I can see things, I guess, for the way they were now that I couldn't see then because I was in the moment.
Yeah.
Or it could just be the other big thing about the book is the whole nostalgia thing that comes up so much.
Mm-hmm.
Even when she throws the perfume on Mars, that's what breaks the clockwork mechanism. Is that nostalgia like perfume? So that has a lot to do with it as well. It's like you look back, is it really any clearer? Is it better days, or is it that whole nostalgia feeling like those were better days because I want them to be better because I need something. I can't just look back and say that everything was all horrible. Or would I just cut all the bad parts out,
Right,
and just look at all the good stuff? So, and I think that Laurie kind of gets caught in that, like not directly but indirectly.
Yeah. Wallcrawler, were you gonna say something?
I had it, but then I lost it. I was like, no, it's yeah, she just yeah, she basically like. I don't think that she was just used for sexuality, but like, I mean, that's the thing though. It's like, you say that when you got a bunch of guys around and you're the girl though, you see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
You are the object of sexuality because unless they like each other, they're gonna, it's just the way things work.
She's definitely sexualized in the story. I don't think there's any denying that. I just don't think that that's her defining feature.
No, not at all.
Yeah, I mean, like that's what frustrated me about that critique was saying, "Oh, that's primarily what she's defined by." And it's like, no, that's that there's an element of that there, but that's not it.
She was probably the only thing that was tying Manhattan to his humanity as long as he lasted. I mean, I don't think if it hadn't been for her, she would have been gone, or he would have been gone before.
Yeah, he says that even because when she tells him that she's sleeping with Dan, he's like, "Well, that was the only thing that would have made me come back is knowing I could get you back, and now you've replaced me with him, so now I'm staying on Mars."
Right.
And he would be endangering her too, right? In this story because of the because he could be giving her cancer, right?
The cancer thing,
Yeah.
I guess that's never fully resolved.
Not till the end, yeah.
But it's what's interesting about Laurie is that out of all the characters, she has the least control over any of her situations.
Mm-hmm.
From the word go, because in childhood, her mother decides, "I'm going to shape you in my image. You're going to be everything that I was so that I can basically live vicariously through you." And then from there, she's not a superhero very long before the Keene Act forces them into retirement. And then she's just living on a military base, completely controlled, until John leaves. And when he leaves for Mars, they're just like, "Okay, well, we don't need you,
right?
So just get out of here. And pack your shit and go, bitch."
And they kind of treat her like a prostitute, like like you failed your job. You had one job, which was to keep him here, and it's like like a good little wife, and you failed at that. So like hit the bricks, chick.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about this first, like her first appearance here in book 1 when Rorschach shows up, and there's something interesting about this where if you want to talk about sexuality, So here's Dr. Manhattan, and he's all of like, see, I'm gonna say she's like, I don't know, let's say 5'6", okay? So she's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he's probably standing about 30 feet tall, or like maybe 40 feet tall.
Something around there, yeah.
So his penis is about 6 feet tall. So the reason I'm saying this is because he walks around naked all the time now.
Mm-hmm.
He grows as big as he wants and whatever, and of course he can manipulate things. So the fact that she's got this guy who's walking around 30 feet tall and has this big 6-foot penis just hanging down. I'm going to tell you right now, when I saw Watchmen in the theater, and when he, at the end, when they attack Vight's compound, and he shrinks down, and Manhattan starts walking towards the screen, I'm looking at like a probably a 3-foot penis on the screen,
yeah.
And he's walking, the ball swinging back and forth. I'm like, God damn, dude! And the worst part about it was like a pendulum, man. That shit was hypnotic. I could not look at it. Because I'm sitting there, you know, I'm getting the perfect spot. So I'm like there, right there where I'm centered with the screen. And he's walking. It's like click, clack, click, clack, click,
He
clack.
looks in the camera and goes, my eyes are up here.
So, but to have that all the time, imagine if you were dating a girl, and I'll say like she's green, because that blue girls don't like attract me, right? But I think Star Trek's proven that a green chick is hot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And Zoe, from Guardians of the Galaxy, Zoe.
Oh yeah, Saldana.
Yeah.
Well, I was
Gamora,
also thinking like She-Hulk too. Yeah.
Gamora.
Zane, yeah. But yeah, we always know that green chicks are. So imagine if you had a green Dr. Manhattan chick, right? And when she's like, "Oh, I got to go work on something," and all of a sudden you had these like, I don't know, like 8-foot like tits just like hanging from her. I mean, she'd just be like, "Oh my god!"
You're tackling several big fetishes of mine at the same time.
Well, I was gonna say that is a fetish, right? Like giant women, like
yeah.
there's guys that really want that. Like,
yeah, Acomi's all about death by snoo snoo. But the fact that doesn't faze her means that that's like it's like completely gone. Like that's not even a part of anything anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so. But that's the first thing is he's standing there and he's working. She's standing there and there's this like this big blue penis just hanging down like on top of her. And like Rorschach comes in, very polite. And I wonder if he's polite because Dr. Manhattan or if it's just his nature. But he's like, good evening, Dr. Manhattan. And then he says, good evening, Miss Jupiter. But she's like, what are you doing here, Rorschach? He goes, at this government base. He goes, I hear you're wanted by the police. Well, yes, because of the Keene Act. He didn't quit. So, of course he's wanted by the police. You're not saying anything new. And she's angry at him already, which leads me to believe that she's already angry before he shows up because of her and Dr. Manhattan. And, of course, we know this tension going on between them. But if you look at that pose, when he shows up there, her arms are crossed, Manhattan's doing his work, and so she's already pissed off. She's taking it out on him, but she's already pissed off because of everything that's going on with her and Manhattan. And the fact that she's not even a part of his life anymore. It was one thing when he ignored her, but she was still there. Mm-hmm. When he was like unavailable, she was still there. But now it's like she's still there, and he doesn't even notice. So, just like in this part right here, when she tells John because he makes a comment about Blake and almost raping her mom, and she goes, "John, get this creep out of here." And he doesn't really do anything right away. He's just like, hey, you seem to upset her. I think you should go. And it's not until Rorschach gets a couple more words in before he just teleports him out. It's like, even then, he's like, I'm not really concerned about you.
Yeah.
And then when we go to the next page there, she's talking a bunch of stuff, and he's just standing there, like, completely, just, like, he's like, whatever. Like, I'm not, again, he's not even there.
Yeah, it's like you can't really blame Laurie for getting frustrated with Manhattan after a while because it's like you can clearly see this guy is freaking omniscient and he sees past, present, and future all simultaneously. It's like he knows some shit, but then he never catches on to why she's upset. And it's like it seems like the only thing he doesn't understand is her. And so it's just like after he pours Rorschach out, and he's just like, "Are you still upset?" It's like, well, I removed the problem. Why are you still upset? He doesn't get it. There's no point where he fully comprehends Laurie until very late in the story.
It's a little different, but like it almost kind of reminds me of Mr. Fantastic and Invisible Woman. You know, like she's always like with his machines. You know. And
Right.
like she's like, pay attention to me, and he's like, I'm here, hey, I'm here. But she's the playing on the invisible woman, you know,
like she's invisible even when she's visible.
Yes.
Yeah, that's funny. I mean, not funny, but yeah, that's interesting. Like, that whole thing, like, yeah, I'm not there. I'm looking at the book right now to see if it's in the book or if it's only in the movie. But it's such a great line, so I'm hoping. At least I feel it's a great line. So I'm hoping it's in the book too, but I know it from the movie. I think it's only in the movie when he's Manhattan is talking to Laurie, and they're doing the thing with Vite. He's got the machine. He's putting the machine together, and she throws the coffee cup at him, and it breaks. And then he uses his ability to put it back together.
Yeah.
And then he's talking to Vite, and Vite says, he's like, oh, don't worry. After she cools off, she'll be back. And he goes, no, she won't. Because he knows that's it.
Yeah.
She's not coming back.
Yeah.
But he can't even show any emotion there. Like, he still doesn't feel it. He's like, this is it. This is the moment that our relationship is completely dead. And he's not, and he's still not there. And that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, here it is. It's when she walks in. It's Vite's not with him, but it's when she walks in after he tries to initiate a threesome with her. And then she walks into his workroom. She's like, have you been working in here this whole time? And she throws the glass at him, and it shatters. And so while one of him is saying, can we talk? The other one's reshaping the glass.
Yeah. And it's...
So that's chapter 3, page 5.
And I think that's really interesting that... that they said the whole thing there...
And I wonder if Dave Gibbons knew going into this. It's like, man, you were going to draw more blue asses than you ever thought you would in your entire career.
I mean, it's basically the Vitruvian Man, It's like, well, without the hair.
There's actually a diagram of him like that in here somewhere. It's like the breakdown of his powers. It's towards the back. Shit, where is it?
You know what I think is interesting? And there's no malice in this at all, but when Dr. Manhattan tries the threesome, and he says, Laurie, don't be upset. I thought you'd enjoy it. Like,
she probably did enjoy it at some point in the past.
Right, that's what I was saying. Like maybe she did enjoy it at some time, and because she does say, she goes, I know, I'm sorry, I overreacted. So like this is something that apparently they'd done before. And he was like, oh yeah, well, this'll help you feel better.
Yeah.
This'll shut you up.
Right.
This'll shut that dumb broad up so I can get some goddamn work done for a change.
Like, and then didn't she say something about him almost being like a battery,
Yeah,
like,
I was going to bring that up.
Yeah.
She says, yeah, your finger, it's like licking a flashlight battery. So apparently Laurie just like licks flashlight batteries on the side.
I'm sorry. I didn't know we were kink shaming.
Kink shaming people is my kink, Turk. I'm tired of you judging me for it.
I'm not judging, but you're judging me, man. There's nothing wrong. Like, especially in 9 volt. Holy shit.
I picture her standing in Home Depot going, hello. But yeah, I think she gravitates towards Dan so well because, like, that's the first situation where she has a modicum of control.
And it makes sense, too, because they got a history together.
Mm-hmm.
And, and like, what gets him charged is the adventure, going out and doing the stuff again, so.
Yeah. It's just, it's interesting. Like, she takes the reins, she initiates things physically. She's always the one to invite him to, like, dinner and stuff. And when they start getting it on the couch, it's like, he takes his glasses off and she's like, oh, hey, I'm into you. But then she's like, oh, let's do something with your hair. It's like, it's a situation where she's in control. And she's never had that in her life up until then.
Yeah, it's, this is more of a Dan thing, but this scene where they're at the restaurant when they meet, for the, sort of after a long time. And I think they do it so well in the movie when she's like, remember that outfit I wore? It's like, it's so dreadful. He's like, oh yeah, it was awful. He's like, are you kidding me? But
yeah, I know.
But it's it's the way that they're like he's like, oh my goodness, like this girl that I've had this thing for so long, like she's
I was gonna get a Watchmen.
Okay.
Yeah.
That I had a thing for so long, like she's kind of like back in my life of sorts.
Mm-hmm.
Not really, but she's kind of there. And then she's like, the Keene Act was the best thing to happen to us, and in his mind, he's like, the Keene Act was the worst thing to happen to me. And at that moment, when you look at the panel there, it's he's looking down at the button, and he's like, we're so different.
Mm-hmm.
It's like there's no way I can connect with you at all. It's like we're so different because like my life ended the day it started, and yours, at least as far as you're concerned, yours started because you didn't have to follow your mother's rules anymore, and then you could start living. But you didn't start living.
Yeah.
Instead, you went with Manhattan.
There is.
Yeah.
The trivia man, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Like it's kind of interesting. Dan's dynamic with her.
It's interesting. It's
in some ways he's kind of a simp.
Dan is a different kind of guy. I don't. So I love Manhattan. I'm just gonna say it. I love Manhattan.
He's pretty
because
cool. He's got that big blue dong.
Manhattan is more like me, not because of the big blue dong. I haven't had that problem since since I hit puberty. When I discovered the band of the hand, that was not a problem at all. But no, it's because he is emotionally unavailable and detached.
Mm-hmm.
And I recognize that in myself, so I can like gravitate to him more. But then I look at someone like Dan, who is like, here's a guy that wants more than what he has out of life. He wants to be something different, wants to be something special, and he feels powerless. Mm-hmm. He is impotent, and he feels impotent. But when he wore the suit, he felt alive.
Yeah.
So, and then I look at someone like Rorschach, and I'm like, yeah, but I can also, I also kind of go towards him because of how he views certain things, and
because he's so black and white. Yeah.
Yeah, his moral stance about things. It's like.
So, for a lot of years, I think I related to Rorschach more than anybody, but the older I get, the more sense the comedian makes to me. Which is terrible, and I'm not condoning, mowing down children in Vietnam or anything, but, the whole jaded, cynical, everything's a fucking joke, yeah, that's becoming more and more apparent to me the older I get, so...
I think Rorschach still stays, on top of my list, but I think comedian would be my second, and then Dr. Manhattan.
I mean, I love, just pure logic and not bringing emotion into it, and I do love that aspect of Manhattan. It's just, that's not a huge part of the way my brain works.
Well, it is mine, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah.
But that's me for Manhattan, and then with Dan, there's I know this whole idea of, I don't know, just wanting something that I feel like I should have, but I don't have. And when I have all the means of having it, but I don't, I think it's the thing. But anyway.
But what's interesting is just with how different, like you said, everybody sees the world. Even in these pages, they see stuff different, right? So they all think they know what they know, but they don't know. And then like Manhattan, he's God level. And the only way to get away from the madness, he has to leave the freaking planet.
Yeah.
Because it's just nonsense.
Because humans suck.
Yeah. It's like you have to get the hell away. The only way, even it's Jedi. How do you escape the Empire? You've got to become a hermit and seclude yourself from everything else. Because you're gonna get you're an asset. You're gonna be used. And even he was being used by the government. Yep. And if you're not with us, you're against. So even he has to leave the madness to get perspective. And when you're on a planet that's by itself and you're creating all reality, and what does he do when he creates the palace? Just tears it down, man. Because it
Laurie
doesn't.
Did that.
But what I'm saying is
he lets it happen.
He lets it happen because it doesn't matter at the end of the day because he can do it again like that. And so what does it mean at that point? And that's the thing. Isn't that the thing? The rise and falls of empires. Mm-hmm. You build it up, every castle crumbles.
Yeah,
it's interesting. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, it's like for Manhattan, it's like the intrinsic feel was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Right.
You know, it's it completely removed like all the stuff from me to where I could see things clearly without, those pesky emotions getting in the way.
But at the same time, he misses it and he doesn't even realize he misses it, which, I mean, maybe we should save that for the Manhattan episode.
That's true.
But yeah, because once the Tachyons start screwing up his omniscience, he's just like, I'd forgotten the thrill of not knowing.
Yeah, that's a great scene.
Oh, yeah.
That's amazing how it's like, he's like, man, I forgot how good this feels to be surprised by something. And it's the end of the world, too. All right. Bonus.
Dude, that's so freaking awesome.
Oh, yeah. That's such a good panel.
Oh, yeah.
And that's one of the few times he breaks the 9-panel grid, too.
And then bam. Yeah, he's just drawing feet. I'm sorry, I'm looking at this. This is a sound medium, not visual. Like basically I'm looking at the scene where Manhattan's been down and like where Vite is, and then he's reaching through the glass and he's breaking through, and you just see his hand and then his feet and just that tells you how big he is. It's just awesome.
So here's something interesting about Laurie. So, she's still at the retirement home where her mom is. She teleports in and they start talking, and mom sparks up a cigarette, and they're talking about Edward Blake. And I'm sorry, Laurie actually sparks up a cigarette, not her, but she says, and I think this is really interesting after what we just talked about was, she's like, oh, hey, guess what? That guy who writes me, he sent me memorabilia, and she's like, it's a Tijuana Bible. And she's like, oh, Mother, this is gross. But if you look at it, she flips through the entire book. Mm-hmm. So she's like denying her sexuality in a sense, probably because she hasn't had it in a while, but at the same time, though, it's like she's been denying her sexuality because it was used, I don't want to say against her will, but it was like she wasn't the one in charge of it.
Right.
But at the same time, she wants to take ownership of it. And I think that's also what brings her and Dan together, is that when they first get ready to do it, because she feels sorry for him. That's why she first has sex with him, and he can't do it. And then they're like, okay, we'll just kind of like cuddle here on the couch. And at that point, she's able to take control of her sexuality because he is incapable of it. Mm-hmm. And then that allows her to be like, oh, hey, now I can finally become the woman, I guess, that I always should have been or wanted to be.
Yeah. I mean, she never really has a point to be able to do that because, she's training pretty heavily at 13. Her first real involvement as a hero was the Crime Busters meeting. Mm-hmm. And she was 16 at the time. That's when she meets Manhattan. Yep. And they get together right after that. So, there's no point where she figures out who she is until Dan comes along.
So, yeah, it's that's really interesting. He's already got... I mean, his girlfriend shows up with him at the meeting, and he's like, oh, yeah, I'm gonna leave you for the 16-year-old. And she's like, yay, I won! But the other thing about Laurie is, she also doesn't know what love is from because she's never seen it. Yeah. She's never seen or been around people that were in love. Mm-hmm. She knows that her mom, and I think in some ways, she's mad at Eddie, but I think she also blames her mom because her mom's making her do this whole over-sexualization piece, right? Mm-hmm. And what she doesn't like, but it's also what she did. And I think in a way she's kind of angry at him because this guy almost raped you because you walked around looking like that.
Right.
Instead of being because he was a piece of shit. It was if you hadn't been walking around looking like that, he probably wouldn't have got that thought in his head. Yeah, I don't think so, but I'm going to blame you because you're trying to do the same thing to me. It's almost are you trying to...
Yeah, it's you're not protecting me from it. And she sees how all these people are affected. They're already going into the superhero business mentally compromised. Mm-hmm. And then what usually breaks them is the superhero business. So it's just like when they had that get-together and... which one was it? It wasn't Dollar Bill. Was it Mothman? Who they brought out of the sanitarium?
Yeah.
And he's he's fucking insane, and he's just like apologizing to everybody, and he's dropping his drink, and she's like, this is what I have to look forward to. This is what you're basically breaking me into doing.
And then the woman that was in the Minutemen, I mean, you know, we know what happened to her.
Yeah.
And she was someone that actually did try to take control of her sexuality. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So even more than that, she doesn't know what a good relationship looks like, because when she's as a kid, when she's watching that argument between her mom and her stepfather, it's very clear there. And the stepfather says that the only reason you and I are together is that you wanted someone that was financially stable, that could take care of you and your kid. You don't love me. You just wanted someone that could take care of you.
Yeah.
So she doesn't even get to the chance to like experience that growing up and see what that looks like. Oh, this is what a relationship looks like. This is what it looks like when two people like love each other and care for one another and support each other. Mm-hmm. Like, no, she has no idea.
The scene where her and Nite Owl, that they just finished, you know, coupling, and she's that, and they're talking to each other in the ship, and it's like, does it feel good? She says, and he's like, oh yes, Jesus, yes. I feel so confident. It's like I'm on fire, and all the mass killers, all the wars in the world, they're just cases, just problems to solve. And then, you know, they talk a little bit, but basically it's like, she goes, insatiable, huh? Well, I'm open to sessions. What shall we do next? I've been thinking about that, and I feel we have certain obligations to our fraternity. I think we should spring Rorschach. And then there's a beat where it's just the ship, and she's like, what?
Yeah.
That's so funny, man. It's like, but basically, like, it's cool how, like, this whole thing is what brings them together. This lifestyle, that's where they connect. You know, it's like it makes sense to them, and like she kind of forgot it, and he's been missing it, and it draws them together, and now they've got a purpose again, and that's kind of cool.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, like, after they're forced to retire, they're basically just society's rejects. Like, they don't serve any other purpose. Dan just languishes as you know, a rich boy with an inheritance, and she serves no other purpose than Manhattan's wife.
And Dan doesn't even take any, like, pleasure in his money.
Oh, yeah, hell no.
The only thing he takes pleasure in is hanging out with Hollis. Mm-hmm. That's it. Which is his mentor father figure.
Yep.
So what I think is interesting when we talk about Laurie, and I probably should have mentioned this back with the previous episode with the comedian, is when she confronts him and they're talking about and he says Juspeczyk, he's like, what's that? Grandmother's name? Didn't like Jupiter? He goes, didn't take your old man's name either.
Yep.
So and she doesn't know yet.
Right, so he's pretty much baiting her. He's like, yeah, you take your father's name either. Almost in a sense way, you know who my father is. You wouldn't say something like that, like, oh, you didn't take your father's name either. Like, obviously, I didn't, but you know who my father is.
Yeah,
and
yeah, like, how do you know unless you know his name?
Right,
and you know that it's not Juspeczyk.
Right, and she says, you know, what's my name to you? And he goes, nothing. You know, you're a pretty girl. I just gotta look at you and see your mom. Yeah.
Yeah.
I never saw this before. At the end of that one scene I read about, like where it says, I think we should spring Rorschach, and there's the beat, and what? It's like, I am brother to dragons and a companion to owls. My skin is black upon me. My bones are burned with heat. Job chapter 30, verses 29 through 30. That's kind of cool. I never saw that before.
Oh, yeah. There's some wild stuff in the Book of Job. The Book of Job isn't quite as wild as, like, the Book of Enoch or something, which is, like,
super that's Apocrypha.
Yeah.
You know, I think that Job kind of got the pointy end of the stick in that.
Yeah. A little bit.
Yeah. I mean, it was a test.
Right. But here's the problem with that. Is in the end, everything that Job lost, he got back, what, like tenfold?
I think so, yeah.
Shit, I don't want 10 wives. Fuck that. It was like, what'd you do to me, man?
His wife was the one thing that didn't die. She was just the one who was like, yeah, you probably deserve it. Just give up and die.
Oh, shit. Now I got like 30 kids. I got 10 wives. And it's like, thanks a lot, God. Wait, they got 30 jobs too?
Oh, they've got Nietzsche in here too. Battle not with monsters lest you become a monster, and if you gaze into the abyss gazes also into you.
Well, Nishi's dead, so
he was syphilitic, schizophrenic too. So that's beside the point. But it's true. It's appropriate for that because you battle monsters. You become. I mean, that's the thing. Like what do you've got to become that sometimes. I mean, look at the comedian's a perfect example of that.
You know, in Nietzsche's defense, though, being a schizophrenic, he never thought that he had syphilis. He thought the other guy had syphilis. I'm just looking at this thing where Laurie.
You're a voice in my head. I didn't come up with some guy with syphilis to make myself feel better. Sorry.
Yeah. So this is what's interesting is that when we see Laurie, like as a kid, when she's awakened, and they're arguing about her parents are arguing about everything going on, and she sneaks down there into her mom's office, and she starts looking at the costume and admiring it. So, like, the part of her as a kid, it's glamorous to her, and she wants to be a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
But then, once she hates it.
Yeah, I think that's just kind of a thing that controlling parents do, is that they take advantage of a kid's naivety. So I'm sure that what Sally Jupiter did was at that tender little age of 4 or 5 or whatever was like, you want to be a superhero like mommy? And of course, a kid's gonna go, uh-huh, are you an angel? And then, yeah. And so then, once she got old enough to realize, no, I really don't want this life, well, all her mom's gonna fall back on is, yeah, but you agreed to it when you were little. You were so excited about it when you were little.
Right.
You must be the problem here.
Now, remember when you couldn't actually make decisions for yourself? You said, yes, please? And I'm like, all right. Are you sure?
Yeah, the jailbreak scene was so great.
I do love the fight scene in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
So well.
Yeah, I was looking at that, and it doesn't really show that much of them doing anything, and that's what's so funny. It's like you almost kind of blend the two together if you haven't read it in a while, and they don't really show her doing too much in here, but in that movie, man, it is super violent.
Yeah, she's great in the movie.
The game was really good too. It was fun. That whole thing in the prison, it was lots of prisoners in there.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's such. She doesn't have much to do at first, but and I think that part of it is when she when Dan's showing off his uniform and then she goes down there and she accidentally sets the place on fire.
Mm-hmm.
No, she's the one that tells him, "Hey, let's go out in costume and drive around."
Mm-hmm.
And I think that maybe I just could be reading something into it now, is that she's been denying all this time that her need to be a hero,
mm-hmm.
because that was being a hero wasn't her choice, but what she did as a hero was her choice.
Yeah, yeah.
And then when she gave that up, she gave up her choice again to be anybody.
Well, can you imagine having daddy issues and now you got God issues? Because you've basically been with. I mean, he's basically a god, right?
Basically.
If I may, our fathers were our models for God. If our fathers bailed,
yeah,
put that to you about God.
And then we compared it to Fight Club. It's because it's all father-based issues. I mean, it's funny.
So in her eyes, she didn't actually in reality, she did, but in her eyes, she didn't actually switch from her father issues to a God issue. She just elevated it, or just my father is God. Just like your mother can do no wrong. She's gonna fix your boo-boo. She's gonna cook your dinner. When you have a problem, you go to them and they fix your problems.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know if you guys ever had a situation like this, but when you were young, where it's like, oh well, I need to have X number of cookies for school, and I forgot to tell you, and and you wake up the next day and X number of cookies are baked and done. It's but you never saw them being done. It's these things were done, and you just kind of think that your parents are magic. It's they had to be done some way, And
I was homeschooled, so anytime I tried that, they caught on pretty quick.
well, I'm just saying too. Like, yeah, I figured they would. Like, wait a minute, your teacher assigned what?
you little shit. There's no school meeting.
That's when you just lock them in a room, be like, "Hey, yeah, you're having a meeting with the principal right now. Bye." but it's like you do have to take this like view of your parents that they can do anything.
I never really thought that. I don't know why, but I just never thought that. I mean, they never did anything necessarily wrong, but I never thought they were perfect or anything.
Oh no, my mother definitely wasn't perfect. And but it's like when I needed something,
Yeah, like you needed something done. It was almost like magic to you.
Right.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I used to think that about my mom, but I've never really had a father figure worth two shits, so.
But that's the interesting thing is like you kind of you just believe that they said that they are like like you don't believe that they have like powers or anything like that, like they can't fly or but at the same time no, like when they were like when you need something they can do it, and
you know that if you have a problem that there's going to be a solution there.
Give me stuff, okay.
I mean, it's just even think about something like Christmas Day. Have you ever had that thing where you get that one gift on Christmas Day that you want that you never asked for? Like, it's the one thing you wanted, but you didn't ask for it. And then you get that. It's like, how do they know? It's like, oh,
They see you.
And so I think in a way, like she, like Manhattan was always this father God figure to her. And she just wrapped herself up in it.
Well, it's interesting because he has that capability, but it's like she always has to ask. He can't even remember, oh, wait, you can't breathe on Mars. Silly me.
But he has to ask now, she has to ask now, but I think initially, though, he was still a little bit of him left that she didn't.
Maybe?
And then that's when it kind of, I think it kind of changed to where it's like you have to say this is what I need, this is what I want. But then the thing that she really wants, he can't give her, which is, I want your time.
Right.
And just you. Not like two doubles of you or whatever.
Yeah.
Because, that, in the movie and in the book, it doesn't come across as being like a huge deal, but damn, that is so cold. Like, you're in the work and it's like, my work is very important. I couldn't stop even to make love to you.
Yeah.
So I created them doubles to make love to you, but you didn't like them? Huh. Okay. Well, I would go have sex with you, but my work is a little too important right now, so we can do the double thing, or I'm like, but no, like this.
I'm pretty sure if I was trying to like draw a comic while I was banging some chick, it would not go over well with her. I'd be okay.
Right.
It's like, stop moving, you're messing up my inking. God. Ingrate.
Why'd you have to move?
Why couldn't you just put the bunny back in the box?
I feel like George and Seinfeld was trying to combine food and TV with sex. There's just too many things at one time.
There is a Ninja Sex Party song called Eating Food in the Shower, which is all about that. It's like, well, we don't have time for everything.
That's funny.
If we eat in the shower, we can.
As long as you make your meals in the shower like Kramer.
I was going to say that they did that too. I was thinking that too.
Of course, you guys remember IT Crowd, where she's like, I just can't believe you brush your teeth in the bath. He's like, why? What's wrong with that?
I mean, if you're in the shower, I guess it's okay because you can spit right down the drain. But if you're like in the tub,
just steeping your body like a tea bag.
Yeah, and then you add some toothpaste, some used toothpaste.
It's floating around.
That's why before I take a bath, I always dip my balls in first.
Lovely.
What a lovely tea party.
Oh, what a lovely tea party.
When it comes to Laurie, like she has that whole revelation. She really is. She is what saves the world.
Mm-hmm.
She's what saves the world. And it's interesting, the whole thing, like, if you look through there and you look at some of the scenes with Blake, the comedian,
mm-hmm.
there are moments where he kind of tries to tell her who he is and what their connection is, but he can't.
Yep.
And so it's like he continues to tell her or let her believe that she doesn't have a father or a father that cares about her, and then And I wonder if he somehow struggled with the idea of like saying, "Oh, by the way, I'm your father, and yeah, I know you're probably going to feel some way about that because like early on, your mother and I we had an incident there, but then later on, she was like, hey, if you still want it, I'm willing to give it to you." And I was like, it's like, yeah.
Let me think about it for a minute. Okay. Yeah, it's interesting because when Sally confronts him, she's like, "Oh, I know what you did to me. It's not going to happen to my daughter." And he's just like, "Christ, what do you think I am? Like, what kind of monster do you think I am? I may be a rapist, but I'm no child molester. God."
But maybe he kind of felt a little bad there for letting his daughter run off with the big blue dick guy, and he didn't say anything.
I mean, hey.
He's like, maybe shy.
Who can blame him?
Yeah, she's already gone.
I do think the revelation when she finds out that Blake is her father, from a sequential art perspective, that's so incredible. Because the moment that her mind shatters is the moment that the crystal castle shatters. Or the glass castle shatters.
And he's known this whole time. He could have told her at any time. It's just another thing where it's just kind of like...
Yeah, Manhattan is just so fatalist. It's like, yeah, I'm not going to tell her until this point on Mars, because that's how it happens. He doesn't change the future.
So it is written, so it is done.
Yep. So that's all pretty interesting. And she's just caught up in the whole thing, and then...
And wrapping it up like her mom, like she kisses the photo. I forgot about that.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, I'd forgotten all about that.
And I wonder, is it because she loved Blake? I mean, obviously she had a fondness for him. Is it because she loved him, or is it because he helped her produce?
That's what I was. I think that's it. I think he gave her daughter. That's the only thing he's really. I mean, I'm sure she cared about him for what they did, but then. I mean, the girl...
Manhattan's take is that they loved each other, because when he's talking about the atomic miracles or whatever type of miracle, and he says, it's a miracle that two people who should hate each other would love each other, and out of all the thousands of possible children, they have you.
Right.
So. Now,
first you hate each other, then you love each other. I don't understand. Of course not, you're a robot.
What's the deal? What's the deal with human love?
The Simpsons.
Okay, so...
the robot response wasn't to you. Like, it was
cool.
It's like their eyes start falling out and then they melt.
No, I'm just looking over this argument that the stepdad and her mom have. Let's see... I shouted at him, he looked surprised, couldn't imagine why I'd bear a grudge. See, it's different for him, and I just couldn't sustain it, the anger. Which I'm assuming that's Sally saying that. God, really, you need analysis, I'm serious. How would you know how a woman feels? Shit, how a man feels for that matter. Oh, that's cheap even for you. See, where is it that she's... Okay, yeah, so first off, he was there, right? Plus, he was gentle. You know what gentleness means in a guy like that? Even a glimmer of it? It means you reached something. It means you reached some of that magical romance and bullshit that they promise you when you're a kid. So, yeah, I mean, like, she had to have seen something there. I don't think that it was just a purely physical attraction.
Right.
Yeah, he reached something in her mom that like resonated with her of this is fulfilling some need, which is
yeah, it sure was.
some spiritual need.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Some spiritual need, and I think that's what all the characters are looking for, is they have some void in their soul that they desperately need filled, and they really just can't. And, for the comedian, it's control. For Laurie, in a different way, it's control. For Dan, it's feeling useful in the world. For Rorschach, it's vengeance, I guess.
For Rorschach, it's very, very different. Like, what he...
It's complicated for Rorschach.
I think he just wants the world to know that he doesn't want the world to not know the truth. You know, like he wants but then like the truth isn't what the world's built on, so it's just not possible. And that's why Manhattan takes him out. Like the monster pages where you flip. I forgot flip. Man, if there was ever a gatefold spread needed, that'd be awesome. That poster,
like a fold-out poster.
Yeah.
Instead, the fold-out poster we got was Shadowhawk.
Yeah. Yeah.
You mean like me?
I never noticed this either, man. Pale horse.
Yep.
Death. I never thought about that.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I never put that together.
You know, what's interesting with all this stuff with her is that when her life finally comes together, when she can finally understand everything that's going on, right? It's the day the world ends.
Yep.
Because they're on Mars when he's talking about that, and he's like, yeah, the only reason that this would happen is if, like, you know, nuclear bombs and the world is ended. It's like, I finally, like, things start to make sense to me now, and I get it. And it's like, oh, sorry.
Yep. This is why you can't have anything.
Dan and Laurie, when they're, like, at the end, when they decide to do it again, and Manhattan just standing over him, and he's just looking at him, instead of being angry or any, like, he just smiles and just walks away. It's like...
It's the only time he smiles.
Yeah, and it's like, it's kind of beautiful because...
Actually...
He just wanted her... He's still, on some level, even though he's over... He still wanted her to be happy. That is love, man. Yeah. That's more love than... Like, a human being probably, on some level... I don't know if you could see the person that you used to love. I mean, depending on who they were, if you still had feelings for them and you saw them with somebody else in that position, I don't think you could smile like that. But maybe you could if you knew they were truly happy.
Maybe Manhattan just was into voyeurism.
Yeah. He's like, oh, I wish I saw everything.
Sometimes
that's why he's smiling.
Sometimes it's from a closet.
If it's really him, maybe there's like 10 guys outside, and he just sent them to look.
If you look when in the first issue when she says that she's going to go call Dan and she walks off, he's smiling at too.
Oh shit! I never noticed that. Yep. Huh.
Where's it?
Yeah, right there, page 23 of chapter 1. Wow, I never noticed that. So 2 smiles in the entire book?
Because he knows what's going to happen. I guess those moments overlap because he knows already that that's going to happen.
Right.
Yeah. Well, cool. Like when, when he's getting into his relationship with Janie, he knows at what point it's going to end, and he knows at what point it's going to begin and end with Laurie. So yeah, he has to know at that point that. And that kind of confirms what I was asking about last on in the gutters, that Moore had to have planned every page of this out.
Oh yeah, from
the word go,
because
he had to have known about that smile. That's pretty whack.
I mean, even that kiss of the picture ties it. That's just a perfect tie-in to the beginning. That's just. It's really hard to break this apart. People that down this, I don't get that.
People that down this suck.
Yeah.
They don't know comics.
Where are we at with time, man? I know we're way over.
Yeah, we're done.
We're an hour and 3 minutes, so we're not way over. We didn't do an ad break, but, this is our moms think we're funny, so.
Which we actually need to get back into doing ad breaks for that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, she, like you said before we even started, that some of the characters aren't as well defined or don't have as detailed backstories. And I think hers isn't as detailed, but you can kind of see all the layers there for a person that is just completely missing and broken.
Mm-hmm.
And she doesn't have we could talk about the whole father figure thing, but she doesn't even have a mom. Her mom's not even present there. Her mom is like, oh, I want to relive my glory years. I'm going to do that through you. And it's like, that's not right. So she's not even there taking care of her. Yeah. She's like, yeah, I'm going to make you into another one of me for whatever reason.
Yeah, totally unrelated to Laurie. But you guys see the hidden smiley face when he blows up Rorschach?
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite ones.
So much symbolism.
But Laurie she's such a big part of it. But even, she is like main part. I mean, she's the main part of the story where everything comes together at the end,
Mm-hmm.
and she's what allows or makes Manhattan, save the world.
Yeah,
But
yeah, she's kind of the glue that holds everybody together in a lot of ways.
and one thing that's more interesting is that she doesn't really know that she is because she and Dan have this thing going on, and I think it's so heartbreaking when you see it when they rescue Rorschach and they go back to the Owl Cave, and and Manhattan shows up there, and she's like, "Oh, hey Dan, he just showed up here, and we're gonna go away. We're gonna talk, see if we can sort this thing out." And Dan's like, "Oh shit,
Yeah,
I just got you back," and I was like, "Oh, I just got you, and then I've already lost you." She's so clueless that of how he would feel about that, but like, "Oh, your ex-boyfriend, the guy who drives a fancy car and has this 8-foot dick and all that kind of stuff. Like, oh, and you guys are going to go talk it out.
You
like,
versus the
okay.
guy she tells you not to worry about.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, one thing that was pointed out in some of the reviews I was watching that I thought was pretty cool and I'd never noticed is that Laurie becomes more and more like the comedian after she finds out that he's her father. And so, Wallcrawler, you're open to the page where she shoots at Vite.
He's like, "You're an asshole." That pretty much says it all.
That's a comedian response.
Yeah.
That's not a Silk Spectre thing. That's not a Sally Jupiter thing. That's immediately the comedian's solution is, "You're an asshole. Boom, I shoot." And at the end, when she leaves from visiting her mother with Dan, she says, "I don't want to wear the same costume. I want something leather to protect me, and I want to start carrying a gun." That's comedian. She starts adapting his ways.
And that makes sense because,
Oh, yeah.
because she's the next step.
So, yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. I'd never noticed that before. But, yeah, we are an hour and 6 minutes in, so I guess we should probably call it an episode. I think Turk's falling asleep.
I'm still present. I'm more present than Dr. Manhattan is. But yeah,
Are you really here, or are you just creating a hologram image of yourself to pretend? You can't even take time to podcast anymore.
It's 4
lick
o'clock
my
in the
finger
morning.
tell me if it tastes like a battery. No,
Acomi's doing that. I didn't have any part of that.
It's not my finger. It's
Like
4
I said, I
o'clock in
had-
the morning. We are finishing the podcast.
I had nothing to
It's
do
1
with
o'clock
this.
in the morning. We are beginning the podcast. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. Acomi and Wallcrawler will be arriving here soon.
They reach up to me and say, "Can you do a podcast?" I look down and say, "No."
A living Acomi and a dead Acomi are composed of the same number of molecules.
Right now, I'm recording a podcast. Our Mom's Secret Funny about the Watchmen. I'm also there at the con the first day I meet Acomi, and he looks at me and asks if I draw, and then he walks away. I think that there's a. Oh, one thing we haven't talked about Sally, because I said I think that when she was a hero, like she was more in control.
Mm-hmm.
Laurie?
Laurie, yeah.
Yeah.
And to back that up is when she and Dan fight the knot tops in the alley.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And she comes alive just as much as he does. She's like, "Man, that was a great workout."
Well, then I got it mixed up because I thought it was when they got on the outfit they tried to do it, and it's not that. It's when they do that. That's what gets them worked up. But then it's the costumes that make it go all the way.
Because they separate after that. They go back to their own places.
Yeah, there's just that moment where you can tell they're both kind of turned on, and then it's like, okay.
Right, but for someone that keeps denying it, and she puts on her costume first.
Mm-hmm.
The one that she doesn't like, and it's like she puts it on, and then she wears it, man. And even when the end, when they know who they're going, well, like she's with Manhattan, but like she doesn't try to really do anything to change it. Like, I'm in the costume, and I don't know. It's the end of the book happens like real quick. Like, once we get to the prison break scene, it's like bam, 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 it's over.
Yeah, it's very rapid fire from there.
That's kind of where I'm at that page right there, and it's almost like they're it's kind of like it's sexual. Like it gets their motors running.
Yeah, I mean, anytime I have trouble getting up, I just go kick the shit out of a homeless dude.
Yeah.
It always works for me.
Sometimes I like to grab statues of them and beat them over the head with it.
Well, see,
Old heroes.
I was
You
protecting.
suck. You're not good anymore.
I always protect myself before I do that, and I just scream bum fight. That way, if the police find me, they don't think that I'm just attacking some homeless guy. Like, we're having a bum fight. So, but, you know, and it's interesting that that's going on at the same time. Like, obviously, it's the symbolism there. But they're being attacked by the knot tops at the same time Manhattan is being attacked by the reporters.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's like, but that like, you know, it reinvigorates her, even though she still tries to deny it.
Yeah, yeah.
I wonder how much it would cost to own a page of Watchmen, man. Just any page. I bet you it's just every page is unbelievably high.
Yeah, man. I mean, Dave Gibbons art. Yeah.
I think I'd want this one, man, because you get at least 5 of them.
Yeah.
I think I would want the one where Rorschach dumps the hot oil on the dude.
That'd be awesome.
Oh, no, you know what? The one it would be, there's 2 I can think of that I would just absolutely go for. The one is where he's, like, putting on his outfit, and he's like, you know, I wear my face, and I'm no longer weak. I put on my spotless gloves so that I won't be soiled by the world, all that stuff. That's really cool. And then, like, the page immediately following that, yeah, oh, that's such a good page. But the page immediately following where he suits up, and he finds the mugger going after the woman, and he just, like, walks up behind him with the garrote to just choke him out. I love that page. So it'd probably be one of those 2.
I think for me, the one, and it's one of the most iconic ones, where you just flip out of the one, is when they're having sex and then the nuclear bomb goes off in the background.
Oh yeah.
And I love that one. But the other one
that fucker's expensive.
The other one I really like is Manhattan, like the 40, 60 foot tall Manhattan walking through Vietnam.
Yeah, that's
what
nice one.
Yeah,
that's beautiful.
The one I was talking about was the one where, like, you've got Vite, Manhattan, and Dan, and they're at the comedian's funeral, kind of looking down, and then the next thing they're reminiscing to when the mob scene with the Nite Owl and the comedian, where the crowd's like they're crowd control and there's stuff thrown at them, and they're on the owl ship. You at least get 5 of them there. I don't know if it's iconic, but it's pretty freaking awesome.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Or the scene where he shoots the Vietnamese war is pretty good. No, I'm sorry. I wouldn't want that one.
Can you imagine just walking into somebody's house and they have that page framed?
I mean, that's just so brutal.
It's like, dude, you okay? It's like, that's the only page I could get. Like, was that the only page that was for sale? Well, no, there was a few others, but I mean, this was the only one that I could get.
No, I could put my hands on.
Screw it! I'd like to own every page. I want the page where he opens up the panel where it sees the comedian's outfit.
Oh yeah,
that's beautiful.
That's nice. Yeah, probably one of the pages I want the most would be the hardest to get, which would be one of the covers.
Oh yeah.
Which cover?
I don't know, man. They're all really good.
You know the promo art for it was good too, man. All the promo art, like with the black and white images that they put inside the books.
Yeah,
before it came out.
I never saw any of the promos.
Oh, okay. They're beautiful, man. They have portfolio sets that you can get, and like they come with it. One of them's the assassination on Kennedy.
Oh, nice.
With the comedian. I'll have to show you guys. They're nice. Yeah, Watchmen's great. I think that's one of the better covers. I love that one.
Yeah, I really like that cover.
Number 2. The statue face. Alright, I guess we better wrap this up.
Yeah.
Turk's fading.
I'm starting to fade.
Yeah. So...
I could do this all day. I love Watchmen.
Different character.
I know, but I could. Still applies.
My favorite scene in Watchmen is when Nite Owl's like, how do you know that name?
You remember that time in Watchmen when, like, Dr. Manhattan, like, didn't stop comedian from shooting that Vietnamese war? that was really cool.
It was awesome.
You're just going to keep coming back to that, huh?
Go with the classics.
That's the page I would get.
That one's pretty dope, too, where he jumps out of the refrigerator.
Oh, yeah.
I love that.
And I love the second time where all it is a note that says behind you.
Yeah. Oh, and that look on Moloch's face.
Yeah, and he turns around and he just, like, lowers the gun because he's like, oh, shit. There's nothing I can do here. And
so I just had to get up in front of people and I'd be like, buy war bonds because every every war bond's like a bullet in the gun and you're the best guy. It's just little white lie. Again, my mom said it was okay.
You get this little sketch of My Dreams by Walter J. Kovacs, age 13. That's a beautiful little picture. It's like a Picasso nightmare.
We'll do a round of poker. Loser has to get that as a tattoo.
Oh God, that'd be horrible.
Well, I gotta make sure I win. But if I lose, though, I'm gonna go all out. I'm gonna have it really big, like triple the size and put on my back.
No, you have to get Dr. Manhattan's nutsack, like your whole entire back, life size.
I'd only do that. Like get on the front, and I'd have to work. I'd be like Terry Crews, like make my muscles bounce. So it looks like his testicles are bouncing up and down.
You gotta get his nutsack, but it's like on the teardrop marks where prisoners who've killed people have.
Oh God, man. Oh.
So people are like, oh yeah, he's got the teardrop tattoos. Wait a minute, is that a nutsack?
Oh. Lord.
Like, you don't know what I had to go through to get this nutsack. Oh.
We're not supposed to do that on In the Gutters. What? This is just gone wrong.
Yeah, this is Our Moms Think We're Funny, though.
Yeah. Oh, it is. I forgot where I am. Who am I? What am I? I don't unimportant things.
Because we're bouncing episodes.
Well, it's because we're in a different room. That's why.
Yeah. Okay.
We normally when we do our podcast, we record in a different room. All right. So let's see. My name is your name too, but my name is actually Turk182. And you can find me here on Our Moms Think We're Funny. And you can also find me on In the Gutters, a podcast that I host with Wallcrawler One, all about comic books and comic books and comic books and comic books. We got comics and comics and comics and comics. And we have all kinds of fun with that. And, of course, we'll be following up some more of our Watchmen character breakdowns on In the Gutters. And you can also find me on social media like Twitter and Instagram at Turk182_KE. And I think that's all I have to say about that.
And yeah, you can find me, Acomi, committing tax fraud in Turk's name and laundering money.
Well, I mean, if anything, you gotta let me launder the money. I mean,
maybe.
I think I'd be good at it. You know, I want to be a criminal genius anyway. I want to run a criminal empire. I just don't want to, like... The only reason I don't run a criminal empire is because for me to do that means that I have to take my time away from what I'm doing now to do that. And I don't want to. I like what I'm doing here more, you know, so I'd rather do this. But, I mean, yeah, it's on my bucket list.
Okay. So, Wallcrawler?
Yeah, I'm Wallcrawler One, and I'm a guest on Our Moms Think We're Funny, and I am on In the Gutters with Turk, and then I'm also painting graves, PAYNE on Comixology. That's my comic. You can get it there, and then I have a Instagram page, Wall_Crawler1, and I put pictures on there from just stuff I do for the show, and then just stuff I have sketches of or old stuff, and just put pics up every once in a while.
Cool. Definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wish you'd do more nudity, though.
You should get into furry art, man.
I was talking about drawing.
Oh.
Yeah, hey Turk, why don't you tell everybody about the time you killed all the younglings?
What?
Look, it's Master Turk182. He'll save us.
Kill all of them.
They probably,
all of them.
It probably wouldn't have been so bad if I didn't just like force push them all off the cliff. Like, wee, wee.
Are you kidding me? You taught those kids to fly because literally they flew for the rest of their lives.
They did. Yeah. I was like, are you an angel? Are you an angel? Are you an angel?
And none of them were they? are now if they weren't before.
And because you haven't attained the rank of master, you can't come back as a Force ghost. Ah, fuck you.
Anyway. Later, everybody.
That was the shittiest thing ever. You're like, it's like, I'm gonna come back as a Force ghost of Mannequin Skywalker. Not like the cool guy I was, but like the asshole that made everything wrong. That's who I'm gonna come back as a Force ghost as.
They said, "You're a Force ghost now, Anakin," and he went, "Yippee!"
Did you?
Now this is youngling killing.
Did you hear that commercial we did?
Oh, I didn't get a chance.
Yeah,
It's been in the
yeah.
Dropbox, and I never got to listen to it.
I deleted it because I thought you'd already heard it.
Oh no, I would have commented on that. We'll play it this weekend.
It was unintentional. I was just doing like some vocal things, and then he liked it, and he joined in, and we recorded a couple more times to try to get it right.
We were laughing through every one. Like every time you hear it, it's like somebody's laughing on the other side.
They made it really hard to edit because it was hard to cut out the laughs.
Wait a minute, hold on. We're done here, right? We're not done.
Later, everybody.
Oh, bye.
Zang, yo.
Did you hear what happened after right there, folks. That was Our Moms Think We're Funny. Let's give them a hand.